This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. October 10th is World Mental Health Day, and this year we're saying thank you, therapists. BetterHelp therapists have helped over 5 million people worldwide on their mental health journeys. That's millions of stories, millions of journeys, and behind every one is a therapist who showed up, listened, and helped someone take a step forward. Moments in therapy, like the right question, a safe space to cry, or a small win, can change lives. This World Mental Health Day, BetterHelp is honoring those connections and the therapists who make them possible, while showing how easy it is to get guidance from a licensed therapist online with BetterHelp. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. And it works with an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for a live session based on over 1.7 million client reviews. This World Mental Health Day, we're celebrating the therapists who've helped millions of people take a step forward. If you're ready to find the right therapist for you, BetterHelp can help you start that journey. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/PFF. That's betterhelp.com/PFF. Now let's go to the next game that we're going to talk about. That is a very, very fun Big 12 game that we had. Big 12 after dark last night because we had a little bit of a lightning delay in BYU, Arizona. BYU ultimately pulling it out 33-27 over Arizona in double overtime. Number 18 BYU continuing their undefeated season. Let's go over the highest graded players, starting off with BYU. Highest graded player was Siale Acera, the linebacker, 79.1. Talk about him later. LJ Martin, the running back, 77.6. Maury Bamba, the corner, 76.7. Parker Kingston, the wide receiver, 76.5. Kyle Svarocic, the guard, 71.9. And Bear Bachmeier with a 58.7 grade in the win. Arizona, meanwhile, their highest grade player was Traden Stukes, the safety, 83.9. Kedrick Riscano, the running back, 78.3. Chris Hudson, the wide receiver, 74.7. Dalton Johnson, the safety, 72.8. Teoali Savea, the D-tackle, 72.1. And Noah Fafita with an 81.95 grade, I should say. Dalton, what told the story in what was an incredible, incredible Big 12 game?
What a ball game, and just another gutsy effort from BYU to find a way to win a game, right? Down 14 against Colorado, came back to win. There was a tough game earlier in the year against East Carolina. They got a really good defense, found a way to win it. In this game, especially when it looked like they were dead in the water, down 10 late in the fourth quarter and find a way. Bear Bachmeier finds a way to lead him back. I think, it's all reliable for me anytime I do either this show or the Monday show, NFL with Trevor. There's always one game where I look and I go in the box and I go, oh, yeah, it's the red zone. That's exactly what it is. I mean, BYU in the red zone, they went 2 for 3. The tying and winning touchdowns, obviously, down late in the game. They found a way to punch it in. The run game was working for them all night with LJ Martin, with Bear Bachmeier. Arizona, 1 for 5. 1 touchdown in 5 red zone trips, settled for a 24-yard field goal in the second quarter. No, first of all, I don't know, I think it was in the third quarter, why on 4th and 4 from the 5 would you took a 24-yard field goal earlier if you're Arizona, and then they go for it on 4th and 4 from the 5. They come away with nothing. Noah Fafita throws an interception. Thought that was kind of weird. In overtime then, okay, so we're going to get aggressive or not? What are we doing? In overtime, and they had the ball first in the first overtime. I think, the first overtime they had the ball first. 4th and 2 now from the 5-yard line. Now they decide to kick it. 27-24. They hold BYU to a field goal. Okay, fine, but it changes the dynamic if you score a touchdown first. Okay, and then the second overtime they got down in there and they didn't score. I just think the red zone, again, BYU, every bit of this game was BYU just being given every slight bit of opportunity to come back in this game, and they took advantage of it. Credit to them. I mean, this is what Kalani Sitake's team does, is we saw this last year in all the one-score games they played in last year. You leave the door open for this team, they're gritty enough to come back and win a football game. And honestly, we have other guys as most impressive, but how about just the absolute guts of Bear Bachmeier? And sometimes it's ugly, and there was a fumble in overtime or late in the fourth. I think it was maybe late in the fourth. That really could have hurt him, but he keeps sticking his head in there in the run game. He makes throws when he has to. They ask a lot of him, and every single week, it's like I said last week, and people, and you mentioned it, this was their toughest game. so far. This is the best team they've played so far and on the road. But every single week, you just see a little more from Bachmeier, a little more toughness, a little more learning how to win. And in the grades, 58.7. It was ugly. There was a lot of this game that was ugly. There was a bad interception late in the first half, but finding ways to win, especially with a young kid, a true freshman like that, that's really important for that kid and for that program. Bear Bachmeier showing the guts that he did when they had an opportunity and winning a game like that right after a 14-point comeback against Colorado. Big time stuff from BYU. Credit to them, because again, people are going to go, well, they're 6-0 on a soft schedule. Well, they have a true freshman quarterback and they're finding a way. And next week we get to find out. I can't wait for that either. Yeah. What a slate we have next week.
Yep. BYU, by the way, back-to-back 6-0 starts for the first time in program history. They're back-to-back 6-0.
That's silly.
That's incredible.
In two different ways. In both of them, you would think after the great year they had last year, we would go, all right, come on, they're going to start 5-0, 6-0 this year. But because of the quarterback situation and because now Bear Bachmeier coming in the spring, we go, okay, they're not starting 6-0 again, right? They're going to trip. They're at Colorado. They're at Arizona. The Utah game's coming. And Kalani Sitake, man, they just find ways. They find ways to win games, and they battle to the very last play.
Yeah, mine is BYU .330 EPA per run. Bear Bachmeier, lowest graded game of his career. And BYU responded by running the ball incredibly well. 258 yards in this game, 5.3 yards per carry, 3.6 yards after contact per carry. LJ Martin, 161 yards and touchdown. Bear Bachmeier, 89 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. A great job by LJ Martin of lifting up his quarterback, and also a great job by Bear Bachmeier for finding a different way to be effective, because obviously it was not happening as a passer in this game. Great teams figure out ways to win, and BYU is doing that right now with a true freshman at quarterback. So BYU with their run game, .330 EPA per run, that to me is why they ultimately came back in this game and ultimately why they won this game too. Dalton, what was the most impressive part of this game?
And I just want to throw in there about Martin and this team running. They've been outstanding running the football in general all season, and that was this game being close enough and getting in good situations where they could still run the football and not force Bachmeier to drop back was big. LJ Martin, 7th in the country in rushing yards. I know Ahmad Hardy's obviously the favorite, rightfully so, for the Doak Walker, but boy, Martin's not that far behind him for the way he's carried the load for this team. I want to shout out a guy I think is just super important to this team in 2 different phases. The wide receiver, Parker Kingston, what a ball game he had. 5 catches for 117, a long touchdown, 75-yard touchdown in the first half, and what he does as a receiver, at times as a jet sweep guy, as a runner, and a play that I don't want to be forgotten in this game. BYU got a 3-and-out late in the fourth quarter. They're down 7. They need, just another play to spark them. And again, I think this is a big reason the run game could stay in on that last tying drive. Parker Kingston also, we know him as one of the best kick returners in the country. Big 26-yard punt return late in the fourth quarter to set up BYU in Arizona territory with that tying drive. I just think he's incredibly valuable because they don't have at receiver a ton of speed. Chase Roberts has solid speed, but Parker Kingston and what he adds with the speed, both as a receiver and in the return game, I think he's just so underrated and extremely valuable for this team, and to be valuable in 2 different phases, and he showed it in both phases. And I think the biggest, quietest play of this game was the punt return before the game-tying drive. Great stuff from Parker Kingston. I think they got to continue to use him more.
I want to shout out Siale Acera, the linebacker for BYU in this one. So we talked so much this year about how BYU's linebacker unit is one of the best in the country, and it is, with Isaiah Glasgow and Jack Kelly leading it. But another BYU linebacker to me was a star of this game in Siale Acera. Jack Kelly did not play in this game due to an injury. Glasgow had overall an okay game, but Acera was a star for BYU as a linebacker in this one. 79.1 PFF grade, 78.2 coverage grade, 0 catches allowed, forced incompletion, and a coverage stop. He also had 5 run defense stops, a tackle for loss, and 2 pressures. Really, the entire mantra of BYU's season this year is next man up, with Jake Retzlaff obviously leaving the program in the summer. Next man up, Bear Bachmeier. Now Jack Kelly going down with an injury. Next man up, Siale Acera. I mean, this is just an incredible all-around team. Whenever one of their star players goes down with an injury or is not playing well, they have another guy ready to take it up and be the star player for the game. And that's why BYU in back-to-back years now, for the first time ever, is 6-0 to start their first half of the season. Just really great job by Siale Acer of embodying that next man up mentality that Kalani Sitake and the Cougars have right now.
I can't think of a single game in the last 2 years with these BYU runs where I look at a game and go, that one guy is the reason they won this game.
Yep.
I can't think of a single occasion because it's always either somebody different or and it's all three phases. It's special teams too. It's offense, defense, and special teams. I cannot think of a game off the top, and there probably isn't one where it's just, one or two guys took the game over and they were the best players on the field. Because we see that so often in other games. It's the quarterback. It's one receiver goes for 200.
And that makes it so hard because whenever we're doing interviews, we do a lot of BYU radio hits too because a lot of people reach out and we love the BYU faithful. And whenever they ask me, like, okay, what is making BYU so good? And I'm like, it's everything. They're not bad at anything. That's not like they're elite at one specific thing. They're just good at everything across the board.
It's something we almost have a hard time quantifying because, again, I think what they do best is just the complementary football. And if you ask me right now, what is BYU's best trait as a team, I would go just how together they play.
Yeah.
I really think, there's certain programs that have this, and it's hard to build this. I think Georgia is like this. I think Iowa State's another team that generally is like this, where you just go, they just play so well together, and they constantly understand that, okay, if the offense is down like it was for the middle part of this game, the defense will keep us in it. If we need a big punt return from Kingston like in this game, it'll keep us in it. If we need to rely on once or twice the true freshman Bachmeier, he'll get it done. If it's leaning on LJ Martin, a veteran, they just have this way of knowing that the guys around them are going to get it done. And that's really what makes them so dangerous because you can't, when you look at them, you're absolutely right. You can't pick and pinpoint one thing to go, that's it. The run defense sucks. That's it. This one corner is the guy we pick on. Oh, this quarterback can't handle the blitz. You can't just pick on one thing. That BYU makes you walk out there and play better in all three phases if you're going to beat them. And right now, that's why they're 6-0 again.
Yeah, incredible job by BYU winning this game, and just incredible job by the team overall for just never having a true weakness, it feels like, on this roster. And it's why if one thing's failing for them, they could rely on another thing to win ball games right now, which is why, again, first time ever, they're back-to-back years with 6-0 record.